Hi Scouts, Cub Master Patrick here. We're going to have a couple of demonstrations on one of our favorite camping snacks, s'mores. We're now getting into the time of the year, the summer, where we normally like to get outside with our friends and our family and go camping, and hopefully we're still going to get a chance to do that at least with our families this summer. But one of the things we really like to do is to gather around the campfire after an evening of skits and songs and enjoy some Cracker Barrel or a nice treat before we go to bed. And one of the Pack 495 traditions, and I know a lot of family traditions are the same, is you get to settle down with a s'more. And, has everybody heard what a s'more is? A s'more is a tasty cooked treat where you take some Hershey's chocolate or another chocolate bar. You get out your marshmallows and your graham crackers, and you assemble them by first taking out and getting a square of your graham cracker. Then you're going to pull out your chocolate bar. You're going to put your chocolate bar on top of your square of graham cracker, and then you're going to take a skewer. Sometimes you'll have a nice little wooden lantern like this if you don't have to be too far away from the fire. Sometimes you'll have a nice long skewer in case you have a larger fire and you want to make sure that you're at a safe distance. But you put your marshmallow at the end of your skewer and you put that over the fire and you roast it. We'll have some demonstrations of ways you can do that here in a little bit. But once you have that s'more good and soft and maybe a little golden brown on the outside, you take and you scrape the marshmallow off onto the top of your chocolate and graham cracker, and you can put another graham cracker on top and make a sandwich. And so it's kind of like a dessert sandwich. And when you squish down the top of your graham cracker, then you have a really tasty treat that you can eat with your hands. So now I want to provide an example of what can you do when you really want to have the fun of having a s'more, maybe tonight or in the near future, but you just don't have a campfire. But maybe you want to have that family experience of making the s'more over a fire. Well, one of the things my Scouter friends taught me was that sometimes you can think smaller rather than more complicated. And they took a candle, and I lit the candle. And so I'm going to put that very carefully down so that I don't burn myself. I'm going to take my marshmallow. I'm going to put it on my skewer. You're going to stick it right in there. I'm going to make sure you get it in far enough so that it doesn't fall off. And then, just like you would with a normal campfire, you can very slowly cook your marshmallow just like you would over a typical campfire. Now, one of the things to remember is if you've got a really little candle like this, it's probably going to take a really long time. Oh, see, we got a problem. We want to make sure that just like in a campfire, our marshmallow can cook just as fast if we don't keep it far enough away even from our little flame. And what we're trying to do is just make sure that we warm it up slowly. And the nice thing about having a campfire is we're spending time with family, or like we're having right now. We're spending time with friends, and I can't think anybody better to spend my time with tonight than you all. The candle, or at least a candle this small, would also work much better with even the little marshmallows. And you can make super tiny s'mores. And once you have your marshmallow, this one is going to be, we want to make sure we don't get it too cooked. You can see that it's managed to get singed in a couple of spots. We're going to make sure that we properly put away our campfire. We turn that off. But here, just like we talked about making a s'more, we take our graham cracker, which is already preloaded with our chocolate. Ooh, it already got a little warm in there, so it's nice and ooey gooey right there. My stick is a little bit, so you can see how that squishes down nice and nice and ooey gooey. And there you have your perfect s'more over a candle your s'more over a candle treat. Let's see how it tastes. Messy, just like it should be. Over the course of the video, we'll be sharing with you some ideas of how to make different types of s'mores. Now, we didn't have a chance to make all of the s'mores, but we cannot wait to try, and maybe we'll update this video when we do. But what we will do is, with each idea that we're going to provide you, we'll put up a recipe of how you can make it at your house, maybe over the summer or in the near future. Now, sometimes you have nights or days where you don't have a chance to make a campfire or heat up the oven or do other things, or maybe you're just not in the mood for all the graham cracker mess. Well, there are all sorts of ways you can enjoy a s'more without having to get all of the individual ingredients. There are a lot of prepackaged s'more treats that you can get, especially during the summertime. Around our house, we love to wake up and have a nice cup of hot chocolate. And one of the things we found at the store is a pre-mixed s'mores cocoa. Around this time of the year, you can find lots of tasty treats between s'mores hot cocoa, and we even found some s'mores flavored goldfish that we're going to be breaking out during our campfire tonight. We've also found granola bars or other treats that pop out this time of the year, and you get to have those great feelings of that you'd have during a campfire, and enjoy the taste of a s'more, but without having to get quite as messy. Next, we'll have Amelia show us how to make s'mores hot chocolate.
Hi, I'm going to teach you how to make s'mores hot chocolate. You need a tablespoon, a mug, s'mores hot cocoa, and a spoon, and water. What you do first is you take off the lid, and then you have your cocoa mix, and then you take 3.5 tablespoons and put it into your mug.
Oh, that's going to be tasty, generous tablespoons right there.
And now you put the hot water in. And then you stir it. And for an extra little tip, put some marshmallows in it.
Extra marshmallows make everything better. Thank you. Now, it's always really important to remember safety when we're making a s'more. One of the things we're doing is if we're around a campfire or around a stove or an oven, keep in mind that we're around something which is hot, and we want to make sure that we don't burn ourselves. But we know that with proper campsite safety, where we're not taking things out of the fire, say a burning marshmallow, we want to make sure that goes in the campfire in the case that one accidentally catches fire and you don't want to fling it off into the woods. But with proper campsite safety, we can make sure we have a really safe and fun campfire with some very tasty s'mores afterwards. But sometimes we'll go camping and we'll find out that we're not allowed to have campfires. This might be a rule of the park or the facility that we're going to, or there might just not be a safe place to have a campfire. When that happens, sometimes we have to get creative when we want to have a s'more. We can go to some of those prepackaged solutions, and that's always fun. But the other thing we can do is we can look for creative solutions for or new ways to make our s'mores And so we think back to why a s'more is fun. And, it's because you've got your graham cracker and you've got your chocolate, and you've got that ooey gooey marshmallow center, which is so delicious when you squish it all together. And, growing up, one of the things that I remember my grandmother buying was Jet Puff marshmallow cream fluff. And we used to put this on sandwiches with peanut butter up in the Northeast United States. And that's called a fluffer nutter sandwich. But one of the things that we found on a scouting trip back when I was a youth, when we were on a canoeing trip and we weren't allowed to have a campfire, was that we could have marshmallow fluff. And as long as we kept it in our bear bag and we kept ourselves safe, we could get out our graham crackers, we got out our chocolate, and you can look in the inside. It is kind of, it looks like kind of a solid marshmallow, but if you were to take your knife and put it in there, it would feel like a sticky peanut and butter, or almost a very thick peanut and buttery marshmallow. And it's delicious on s'mores or even sandwiches if you can't find a campfire that you can have. Now, you may be saying, I'd really like some s'mores, but I don't have a campfire. And we've got a big party coming up. And we want to have a nice summer barbecue with a few of our friends. And we want to make sure we have a dessert for everyone to share. And you say, well, s'mores are going to take a long time, and we don't have enough roasting sticks for all of that. Well, one of the things you can do is you can try different recipes off of the internet or so. And instead of using the big marshmallows and making individual s'mores, you can always consider getting your mini marshmallows and looking at different recipes that you can make with either in a pan or in your oven. There are a couple of ways that you can make a dip, a s'mores dip, in a cast iron skillet or in the bottom of a Dutch oven when we're out camping. You can take and mix a little bit of milk and butter and some semi-sweet and sweet chocolates, the same kind of chocolates that you would be using to make your s'mores. You make all those into a little mixture, and you put that on the bottom of your cast iron skillet or Dutch oven, and you put that over your heat. And then you take and you sprinkle your mini marshmallows all over the chocolate in a nice even layer, and then you put your lid on. And after a few minutes, you'll get a nice hot pan of s'mores dip, where you can take your graham crackers on the side and you can scoop out the marshmallow and chocolate and eat it that way. Now, if you're concerned about sharing germs, then what you can always do is make sure to take a little bowl and make sure you spoon some of your dip into your own bowl, and then use your graham cracker in your own dip. And that's how we make sure that we stay safe and have delicious desserts to share. Sort of like our s'mores dip, we can also look at making kind of a s'mores casserole or a s'mores bar or something which is more in a big pan, and you can scoop it out with a spatula. These are really easy recipes that you and your parents can make at the house. Next, Amelia is going to help me teach you how to make s'mores in a s'mores casserole.
We're going to learn how to make s'mores in the pan. So this is a great way to do this in the oven. First thing you want to do is make sure you've got your parent there, and they're going to help you preheat the oven to 350 degrees. We're going to take and line our pan with graham crackers. We've almost got it done, so Amelia's going to polish off those last two right there. And then we're going to put on our chocolate. Next, we're going to take it and we're going to put all of our chocolate up onto our squares. We want a nice healthy bit on each square. We have our marshmallows. We coat the top of our pans in our marshmallows. You can use the big marshmallows or you can use the little marshmallows, depends on how many marshmallows you want. Yeah, does it look about right?
Yeah.
More marshmallows the better?
Yes.
And then we take a look over to our oven. It's still preheating a little bit, but it's pretty close. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to slide those marshmallows into the pan, into the oven. I wait for about 8 to 10 minutes or so, baking at 350, but we might want to have a little snack while we wait, right? So maybe a marshmallow.
Or graham crackers or some chocolate.
While we wait, because, you know, we got to taste test things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, our 10 minutes is up, so it's time that we open up our oven. We check in on our s'mores. We make sure we've got something to hold the pan with. And look at that, it's starting to get nice and golden brown on the top. They're getting pretty squishy. And we look around, we've got some tasty oven-baked s'mores without a campfire.
Now let's talk about making fancier s'mores on our campout. Sometimes we say, oh, we're having s'mores again. What that really means to us is that we've gotten that tradition of only having graham crackers, marshmallow, and the Hershey chocolate bar. But there are a lot of ways to really dress up your s'mores on your next adventure. One of the ways that we really like to try new s'more flavors is by getting different types of chocolate. Now, chocolate comes in all sorts. You can get dark chocolate, which a lot of our adults like. We've got regular milk chocolate, like we have on our s'mores normally. There's white chocolate. I know that my daughter Amelia's favorite type of s'more is when she gets the cookies and cream candy bar and uses that instead of the normal chocolate bar. But sometimes you can even find different flavors of chocolate bar, like Hershey's Crackle or Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, and you can use those instead of a regular Hershey's bar, and you start getting different flavors, or it starts to crunch. But there are a lot of fun options for you to try if you just want to do something a little more adventurous next time on your camp out. Next, we'll have Mr. Ben teach us a little bit about how he makes his oven s'mores with a nice flare of fruit to make it a little bit healthier.
Hello Scouts of Pack 495. Today I'm going to show you how I make s'mores at home, because really s'mores are too good to wait for a camp out. Now typically when you make a s'more, you start by toasting your marshmallow and then you assemble your s'more. Today we're going to do that backwards. We're going to start with an oven-safe pan and assembling our s'more. Next, we're going to put this in the oven under the broiler at the highest level of the rack. This is going to toast very, very quickly, only a minute to 2, and once it's complete, you'll find you have a nice, tasty s'more. Now, this by itself is great, but personally, I like mine with a little bit of sliced strawberry. Now, doesn't that look too good to wait for a camp out?
Next, we have James, who's going to teach us about his spreadable s'mores, and they sound delicious.
Hello everybody, welcome to another YouTube video. Today we are going to be making some s'mores. But before I tell you, I gotta warn you, there are going to be some barking. Right now my dog is in a barking. So first things first, we get a graham cracker. Only half opened, apparently. First things first, you get a graham cracker, as I said. This is gonna be easier than it looks, trust me. Put the rest of the graham crackers back in the box, and then snap. That was less intense than I thought it was gonna be. Nutella's next. Just so you know, this is a s'more with Nutella on it. That is normal. Yeah, maybe don't put on as much Nutella as I did. And with the rest, just put it on your other one. And if you're like me, lick your fingers, or you could just use a towel, either one. You know, I'm just gonna use a towel because that's gonna be way easier. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna clean my hands after. Do this. Next, you have to close this, or else bugs will get in your Nutella, and you will only use this once. But that's only if you're outside. Either way, you should still close it in case it gets sticky. Okay, so now that you got your marshmallow and your fire, I'm gonna tell you a trick to roasting a marshmallow. At least my way. I like to get it up close and personal and actually get the marshmallow on fire. See this? It's actually on fire. Then you want to get the other side nice and crisp. And you gotta make sure that the back is crisp as well. Now you wait a little bit. And, but that's just my way. You can go any way you want. So, if you want to do your own way, you can just eat this if you're just going normal marshmallow, or if you're going s'mores, you'll put it here. There. Now you got that ready. This, and you squeeze. Well, this bit you can eat. Now you look at your creation. Give yourself a pat on the back, and then enjoy.
These videos are really making me hungry. Next, Mr. Ben is going to teach us how to make a s'mores pie.
Hello Scouts at Pack 495. Today I'm going to make you a s'more that is a pie. I know that doesn't sound like something that makes a lot of sense, but if you bear with me through the end, I think you'll find it is a s'more. So we're going to start by making a pie crust. Now this is going to be basically your graham cracker. What I did, started with your regular old graham crackers, took an entire package of those, smashed them up inside of a plastic bag, and so we've got 1 cup of crushed graham crackers in there. To that, we're adding 1/3 cup of brown sugar and 4 tablespoons of melted butter. So you can probably guess by this already, you may very well need your parent or adult to help out with some of this. So we're just going to mix this up into a nice crust. It's going to actually look to you a little bit like wet sand, and that's how we're going to play with it here in just a second. Alright, so what you want to do, go ahead and take a pie pan, pour out your graham cracker mix into it, and then you can take a flat surface, I like to use the bottom of a measuring cup, and press out your crust into the bottom of your pie pan. And you just keep pressing it, and it's going to fit right in. If any of you have done a lot of baking, this might look familiar if you've done something like a cheesecake or cherry pie. All right. So we just press that in. Now we're going to throw this in the oven at 325 degrees for 10 minutes just to get it to firm up. I'll be right back with that. All right. While our pie crust is cooking, we're going to start and make what the French call a bain-marie, which really is a fancy word for saying a pot with steaming water and a bowl on top. Because we're going to start working on our chocolate layer. I've got right here 8 ounces of chocolate chips. And what's going to happen here is the steam is going to heat the underside of the bowl. So it's going to let this chocolate melt slowly. You probably don't want to sit here and watch all that. So we're going to skip ahead and get to the point where it's starting to melt. Okay, our chocolate is just beginning to melt. So I'm going to come in here and give it a stir. Yeah, chocolate chips are just starting to go. So this is now the perfect time for our additions. So I'm going to start with 3 ounces, or about a quarter cup, of Nutella, because I like hazelnut. It's delicious. To that, also a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a half cup of cream. What this is going to give us is a ganache. So it's that nice thick chocolate spread that you'll find on any number of cakes, or because our cream is cold, it actually cooled down our chocolate a little bit. So there we go. It's starting to melt right in. Suppose you could also do chocolate milk this way, but that'd be a lot of work. All right, getting there. And once you're getting to this stage, you'll want to keep your chocolate moving all the time. That way it doesn't develop any hot spots. Chocolate can be a little bit finicky, but basically it comes down to this. You treat it nice and it will be delicious. Look at that. Isn't that looking delicious? Alright, well, let's get our pie crust out of the oven and let's get our chocolate ganache into it. See you back at the table. Alright, here is our pie crust out of the oven. It's still a little bit warm. I haven't let it sit around and cool off at all. To that, we're going to add our freshly made chocolate ganache. Get all of that in there. And just spread it around the bottom. Alright, now on top of this, we are going to start to add our marshmallows. And just come in right around the outside. Now, what I've done, I've gone ahead and I've cut my marshmallows in half. Don't have to. No particular reason to cut them in half instead of leave them in hold. Only reason I did it is because we've been making so many s'mores, I'm actually running out of marshmallows. So what we're going to do is we're just going to line them up next to each other and go all the way around. One thing I have learned in cutting all of these marshmallows in half, in case you were interested in doing it, is they are rather sticky on the inside. Alright, I'm going to go ahead, keep putting this together, and then we're going to head over to the oven as soon as it's through. Be right back with you. Okay, I've got the top of my pie all covered in marshmallows. And what I've done here at the oven is I've moved my rack up to the top and turned on the broiler. That's these elements at the top. Turn it on as hot as it goes. And I'm just going to sit the pie right there underneath. Now in this case of this video, I'm not going to bother closing the door, but even if you do at home, stay really close and keep a close eye on it, because this is only going to take a minute or two for you. All right, here we go. One done. S'mores pie. It only took about 2 minutes in the oven. I turned it about halfway through just because it wasn't browning evenly, but looks great. Now, for those of you who are following along who thinks, wow, this is easy, well, yeah, that's the reason I'm showing it to you, so you can do something nice and easy. It's also great and easy to do on a camp out. Because if you think about it, a Dutch oven is just an oven. So go ahead and do it in there. My one recommendation, if you are going to do this in a Dutch oven, is maybe do this inside of a foil baking dish that they've got, so that it makes it a lot easier to clean up the Dutch oven afterwards. So, enjoy!
Sometimes when you're having a nice hot summer day, you think, well, maybe I don't want a s'more today because I'm either, already feeling kind of sweaty and gross and I don't want to get all sticky, or maybe you just want a nice refreshing drink. Well, growing up in an Italian household, I got taught at a very young age about an Italian soda or an Italian cream soda. And these are really easy chilled drinks to make, and they've got some carbonation, so they're nice and fizzy. So sit back and I'll teach you how to make an Italian cream soda.
Okay, Scouts, what we're going to do today is we're going to learn how to make an Italian soda, which is a s'mores Italian soda. We'll also learn how to make Italian cream soda, which is a step beyond that. So the things you're going to need is you're going to need per cup is a 3/4 cup of ice. You're going to need your syrup. We've got our s'mores syrup. You can order that online. You can use other different flavors if you want to do it that way. You want to have your club soda, your half and half, and you're going to want to have a glass and your tablespoon. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take, and we're done, our 3/4 cup of ice into our glass. And then, opening up carefully so it doesn't explode. You also want to make sure you don't shake up club soda because it's fizzy. It makes it a nice refreshing drink. Take and put 3/4 cup, same one you used for your ice, right in there. Put your lid back up there so you don't lose your carbonation. Take the lid off of there. You're going to take out your tablespoon and you're going to pour out 4 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3, 4. I did forget one valuable tool. I'm going to grab that here real quick. You need something to make sure that you can stir your Italian soda. So if you just want Italian soda, you can stop right there, and you've got a nice, refreshing Italian soda. Now, if you want to make it an Italian cream soda, you just need to go an extra step further, and you can take some milk, or half and half, or a milk alternative, and you can take your tablespoon again, and you just pour 1 tablespoon right into the top, and you give it a nice stir, and there you have a s'mores Italian cream soda, a nice refreshing treat on a summer day or after an amazing bridging ceremony and seeing all of our fun Scouts.
If you want to make an elevated dish, the other thing you can do is you can learn how to make crepes. Now, crepes are very much like a thin pancake. And when you eat them, you take the thin pancake and you put additional toppings in it and you roll it up and you can eat it. Now, one of the great ideas that I was working on today, but I didn't get a chance to video it, was a s'mores crepe. So the idea is you can either go buy pancakes or you can make them yourself, and then you can spread inside of them Nutella or chocolate syrup, and then you can put in your marshmallow fluff and maybe sprinkle in a couple of graham crackers, all crushed up. And then you can roll that up, and then you've got a tasty and elevated s'mores treat for breakfast, because s'mores aren't just for after a campfire.
Okay, good morning. It's the morning after our campfire. We've woken up, we're feeling refreshed, and we were so inspired to hear about all the s'more types yesterday that we decided we're going to make s'more crepes. So what we have is we have our crepe batter, and that's kind of like a real thin pancake batter. We have our crepe pan. You can use any type of skillet or frying pan, but the thing you want to do is you want to make sure that it's pretty non-stick and that it's pretty light. And what you do is you pour your batter into your crepe pan, and you got to swirl it around. You'll see it coming back on this side, and so that way it spreads out nice and thin onto your pan. And then we wait, just like a normal pancake. So crepes don't take very long to cook. Once you see that the top is pretty well cooked, it only takes about a minute, minute and a half. You flip it over, and you get a nice golden brown on the other side. So we've got our crepes all made, and now we're starting to assemble our s'mores crepes. On this side, Amelia is making her marshmallow fluff and Hershey's chocolate syrup crepe. Okay, that looks good there, Spencer. And Spencer is making his Nutella and marshmallow fluff crepe. See how that marshmallow fluff just kind of spreads like a thick peanut butter or so. We also have some ground up graham crackers that we can sprinkle on just a little bit. Okay, add a little bit of crunch. Then we roll it up. Sometimes rolling it gets a little messy. And there you have a s'mores crepe.
So we've talked a lot about different ingredients, and some may include dairy, gluten, or nuts. So one of the things we can always do, and one of the great things about s'mores, is you can always replace any of those ingredients with something that is allergy-free. So you can either find a gluten-free alternative or a dairy-free alternative, but we want to make sure that whatever you put into your s'mores, that it's okay and healthy for you to eat. So for all of the reasons why we can have s'mores, I think the best is that it's a nice way to share time when we're making the s'mores and eating them. After a campfire where we've got to spend a lot of time with our friends or family, and we're winding down for the day. And you know, one of the things we want to do is make sure we spend our time with our friends and family and let them know how much we care about them, especially in times when we don't get a chance to see our friends and family as much. I want to make sure that I say thank you all for joining me in the s'mores making demonstration, and I can't wait to share some more time with you here at our campfire coming up. I hope you have your s'mores recipe prepared and are ready to have a nice treat with us after the campfire. Thank you.